50 years ago, Brian Clough walked through the doors at Nottingham Forest, and the rest, they say, is history. We've got a club legend and also Clough's very first signing. Remarkably, present-day Forest could be title challengers as they prepare to take on Liverpool next week, whilst Mansfield and Notts County win 4 out of 5 in a flying start to 2025. Welcome along to Team Talk. So much to talk about, that Liverpool game and the form of Mansfield and Notts County to come. But first, 50 years ago, Neil Martin scored Forest Cup replay winner at Spurs to mark the start of the incredible reign of Brian Clough. 18 years, 2 European Cups, a First Division title, 4 League Cups. And with me today, a man that Brian Clough tried to sign, but the move was blocked by the Notts County chairman. Welcome along, Charlie McParland. We've got Clough's first ever signing at Forest, and that's a story in itself. His son is now playing for Mansfield. Welcome, Bert Bowery.
Hello.
And then a man who was already in the dressing room when Brian arrived and went on to play nearly 450 times for Forest and scored one of the most important goals in the club's history. It's Miracle Man Ian Bowyer.
Thank you.
Thanks to see you. Yeah. Well, I want to go back 50 years in when you were in the changing room because
So do I.
I mean, Clough was a superstar before he came to Forest. He was controversial. I think there were many people in Nottingham that didn't want him to join the club, as did. I interviewed the chairman who gave his first ever interview 5 years ago to me, and he said like the board was split. His wife didn't want Clough in there. He was a big superstar, wasn't he? He was controversial. He was on all the chat shows, and Forest were mediocre second division team, and suddenly Stardust came in there. What was it like?
Well, obviously it was the making of the club. It was the making of so many players in that dressing room. And initially, you're a little bit guarded. You don't really know the truth, whether or not he's going to make wholesale changes. I have to say that he did the changes gradually. But you just knew his history would say that things were going to get a lot better, and obviously they did.
Did he have an aura about him when
He
walked
did.
in?
He had more of a physical presence than I thought. He was 6 foot. One of his first little tricks that I noticed was if ever you passed him in the corridor, if you're going into the dressing rooms, initially I used to say, "Morning, boss," or "Morning, gaffer." Nothing back. Absolutely nothing. Ignored me. So the next day I'd say, "Morning, gaffer." Nothing came back. So the third morning I'd say, "Morning, gaffer." Nothing. So then I decide I'm not going to say anything now. So the fourth morning I go in and he walks past me. I don't say anything. He says, "Are you ignoring me?" And all it was just him putting us all in our place. I'm the big dog round here. You acknowledge me. I'm just, picking and choosing who I'm going to say
Fantastic.
morning to.
I mean, what an era. We've talked about it. The statues now in the market squares we'll see shortly, and we've been out on the streets this week to see what the people of Nottingham think about the legacy of Brian Clough.
Absolute legend. It's no matter what team you support, really, everyone knows who Brian Clough was and what he does for football. As a child, some of the greatest memories ever watching him, which win the European Cup twice for the Bounce, win the league. Just a great manager, and it's something that football's lacking, really. So, yeah, it's not just that. Obviously, the stories are coming out now about him. Ex-footballers have played for him, continuous funny stories about his antics and what he did, and he'll still live in our mind forever, really.
He was a fantastic guy, very dedicated, very focused. He took no messing, that's for sure. He took the teams to the best of their ability. We've got this fantastic statue to remember him for all he did.
He was always saying outrageous things, and he was never afraid to take anybody on. If he didn't like being interviewed a certain way, he would challenge the interview and take them on and make a personal comments, things like that. So it was always good fun to watch.
Well, he took the club from basically what is now the Championship into the top division and won us the league, the European Cup, gave us real identity, and made Nottingham famous really.
It made a lot for Nottingham. He gave us everything really we could look back on over the last 50 years, and he certainly, after winning the second division as it was then, and then went on to win the first division, then 2 European Cups back to back, he put Nottingham certainly back on the map, and now look where we are, third in the Premier League.
He challenged boardrooms, he challenged journalists, he challenged players, he challenged politicians. Bert, you have the honour, and you've never spoken about this, I think, as being the first person that Clough signed for Forest.
Well, I mean, it's not something I really knew, till later on, obviously, and then somebody come, it was on a television programme or something, and then it came about that I was the first signing, but I didn't know that myself.
You've got me a few points in pub quizzes, that's for sure, by knowing that. But it's a great story, isn't it?
It is.
Because Peter Taylor, who became Clough's assistant, was his assistant at Derby and Hartlepool. He tried to sign you for Brighton.
That's right, yeah. I was playing for Worksop Town, and I scored quite a few goals at the time. And then they said they wanted me to go down to Brighton and sign for them. So I went down, one of the club's representatives, and we went down to Brighton, and they wanted me to sign it. And I didn't know. I said I'll have a think about it. In the meantime, when I come back to Nottingham, Forest had been in touch with me on the strength of obviously Peter Taylor wanted me to sign at Brighton. And they said they'd like me to sign for Nottingham Forest. So I thought it was a wind-up, obviously. And then I was a Meadows lad, so I was just across the road. So it was a no-brainer. I had to sign for Forest, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. So Clough got one over Taylor there on
he did,
that
yeah,
occasion. Tell us about the Blackburn trip then, when you played for Forest. And I mean, you got a great scoring record for Forest. Yeah.
It came about where, and I've been playing in the reses and everything else, and then we said you was in the squad to Blackburn away, and got off the bus, and I didn't even know I just thought I was here for the trip, really, not playing at all. And then got in the change room and said, you're starting. Which, obviously, it was total surprise to me.
And that was Clough's method, just leave it to the last minute and then tell you.
Yeah. Other people may have known, but I didn't know at all. And then, obviously, the rest of history. I scored 2 goals on my debut.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it myself,
I mean, it didn't quite happen at Forest. You scored two goals in 2 games, and then a guy from America came knocking, and Brian Clough made you make a decision in your life that changed your life.
Yes, I was. I think this American chap couldn't see Paddy Greenwood. He'd played for him before, and I scored a few goals in that reserve match, and he said he'd like to take me to America. Well, at the time, I didn't really want to know. And anyway, Clough came to me and said, look, get to America, get away from your mum, make a man of yourself. And I said, no, I don't want to go. He says, look, I'm telling you, get over there, get some experience, come back with a lot of confidence. So anyway, I went to America, a bit reluctant, at a time in my life, fantastic.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Came back with a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Charlie, you're the only one here who never played for Brian Clough, but you came that close.
Yeah, it was very close in 1987. I got a phone call in Scotland. My mum answered the phone. I just came back for the golf early morning, and my mum didn't really know Brian Clough. And she says, Ian, there's somebody called Brian Clough on the telephone for you. And I went, all right. So I went and answered the phone, and I can't say on TV what I said. I thought it was the lads winding him up, and it was the man himself asking me to come and play for his football club. So I shot down the next again day, went and met him. He was sat with his dog Del Boy, his green jumper, and his squash racket. And I walked in. He made me feel 10 foot tall, and I'm not very tall anyway. But we agreed a deal. Everything was sorted. They agreed a deal between the clubs, £250,000. Then a certain gentleman, Derek Pavis,
Chairman of Notts
County, absolutely kiboshed it. It was a bit naughty. And where I would have made the grade over there and fitted in and done well, who knows? But I'd love to have got the chance to go and play again, because early on I was in the top league, played against Bomber, kicking lumps out me for 3 years. I was a better player at 26
Yeah.
than when I was 20. So I'd have liked to have go in the top league again. But that's life.
When you look back 50 years, Bomber, can you quite believe? I mean, there's been so much said, written, films, everything. Can you still quite believe what happened?
No. No, simply because it was so extreme, wasn't it? You know, like you said a second ago, we were an average mid-table second division team, not particularly going anywhere, drifting along, turning over managers quite regularly. And it was only when this genius came into our lives that things changed, and changed for the good rapidly.
And you must have loved it, because you were nearly 450 appearances.
Yeah, plus cup matches.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely loved it. I mean, I did leave for 12 months, and
You went to Sunderland, Bob,
I went
didn't
to
you?
Sunderland.
Yes.
He sold me to
Yes.
Sunderland for 250 grand, and 12 months later signed me back for 40 grand, which is
Good business.
You know, it's good business. But after I'd left, for even the smallest detail, like when I was at Sunderland, we used to, the trips from Sunderland were a day and a half to go anywhere. But you'd have a game of cards, like everybody have a game of cards, and it was that long, and I missed an hour before you got to the ground. Clough used to come onto the bus at Forest and say, "Right, lads, put those cards away," and you used to go, "Oh, miserable son." But
Ian,
I missed it.
I've got to break you there. We've got a quick break. We
I'll
can
just
hear the
get
rest of
warmed
the
up.
story.
That's because the
We'll hear the rest in a moment. When we'll come back, we'll finish the story and hear about current day Forest and wondering if they're heading back to Europe. See you in a moment. Hello and welcome back to Team Talk with myself, Mark Shardlow, Charlie McParland, Brian Clough's first signing, Bert Bowery, and Forest legend Ian Bowyer, Miracle Man. You were just telling us the story of your time at Sunderland and being on the bus and missing Brian Clough and wanting to come back.
Well, we used to play cards on the bus, like all footballers do, and at Forest it would be an hour before we got to the ground. He'd say, "Right then, lads, put those cards away." And that was just really to get your mind away from the cards, and you started thinking a little bit about the game, which is what you were there for. But when I went to Sunderland, the lads would literally play cards until the bus stopped outside the ground, and you just wondered whether or not they were quite with it, or it was a bit of a day out.
I want to get your opinions on current day Forest as well, because I know you're watching with interest, and it is an incredible time that's happening at the moment. If you think of how Forest are playing, again they're third in the table with a home game coming up against Liverpool this week or next week. The Reds are on 40 points with 20 games played. History showing that only one team with this landmark have failed to make the top four at the end of the season. No sign of the momentum stopping. The 3-0 win at Wolves was their sixth victory in a row. Morgan Gibbs-White opened the scoring with a typical Forest counter-attack linking with Anthony Elanga. Matt Sells made a good save or two. Murillo cleared off the line, and then goals from Wood and Awani sealed the win. Head coach Nuno said after the game that the early goal made all the difference.
Was tough. We cannot ignore how tough the game was for the boys. I think we started really well. We score early, which makes a big difference when you play, especially away from home. That you know that your opponent is going to react, going to come on the front foot and start strong. But overall, I think was a good performance. And again, the hard work, the running, the adjust, defending the box when it was necessary. Matt's incredible saves to kept us on the game, but this is how we play. We know that we're gonna suffer. We know that we must stick to our tasks. But then when we get the ball, we know that we have talent, we have speed.
6 wins in a row then, Bomber. 4 clean sheets. And I think the remarkable thing, and the way I can perhaps draw a parallel with your gang, is that 9 of the 11 were playing last year against Luton in a relegation battle. So it's pretty much the same players. And Cloughy, what were there, 5 or 6 of you that went from mediocre second division players to European Cup winners? What happens? What's going on now?
Well, sometimes it's just the way that people talk to you, people handle you. With me personally and also John Robertson, we almost exchanged positions, which was the making of both of us. But I don't see any reason why Forest can't continue in the same vein as they are. The manager seems to me to be a really serious football manager, appreciates what it takes. He mentions there about the hard work and the running, which is where it all starts, from hard work. And they have got pace right the way through the team. They've got 2 centre-halves that are as good as anybody in the league. They've got enough creativity in Anderson, Morgan, Gibbs, White. And they've got the pace of the 2 wide lads at the top, and Chris Woods is having the season of his life. So I don't see any reason that it shouldn't continue to the end of the season. I mean, part of human nature is to think, oh, something will go wrong. But there's absolutely no logical reason for anything to change. The games will be as hard and they'll have to play as well as they have done. But why should that change?
I think that's a really good point. I mean, Bert, just talk about Chris Wood. I mean, you were quick goal scorer in your time. Give us an appreciation of him.
I mean, obviously, Chris Woods is a I don't think he's a really mobile centre forward, but what he does, if you feed him and supply him, he'll score goals, and he has done. He's and the 2 wingers, if they on form, which they've been, indifferent in some games, but they're very, very pacey, and that's where he thrives on crosses. And you get crosses into him, he'll score.
Yeah. This is serious now, isn't it? I mean, this is a title challenge.
Very, very serious, and especially if Nottingham Forest go and beat Liverpool on Tuesday night, which I think they're capable of doing. It's game on. I think they've been absolutely fantastic. I tipped 10th position at the start of the season. And steadily, as the season's going on, you're thinking, oh, this is looking really good. But Nuno, I think he's brilliant. There's no nonsense comes out his mouth, like some of the managers who just come out and talk dribble. He just comes out and says it how he is, how his team played. He's not getting carried away with it. He's level, he's consistent, and he spoke about the game there. He says the goalkeeper had a great game, kept us 3 great saves. Marilla's got 1 off the line. They weren't at their best, but they got the job done. And what we talk about in a football, like, if you've got people who are quick and have got lots of energy and they want to use their energy to run about and you can play, you just touched on it there, Bomber, Elliot Anderson, outstanding. His ball for the first goal was outstanding. You've got a great chance. And what's been happening a lot more this season, the 2 wide players, Alanga and Hudson-Odoi, steadily, Alanga wasn't too bad at it, but Odoi didn't really like tracking back and helping his fullback out. And he's getting a little bit better at doing that now,
Yeah.
So they're flying.
Let's have a look at the table, because it makes great viewing, doesn't it? I mean, level with points, second place Arsenal, just 6 points behind Liverpool. And you said it earlier, Bomber, they seem to be getting better week by week. They seem to go into games now with absolute belief that they can beat anyone, and they know their style of play.
Well, with the confidence they gain from winning football matches, that's the difference. And I look at Forest obviously as an outsider, but I look at them and think, well, come this particular transfer window, I don't think Forest are in a position where they need to sell anybody. Will they possibly buy and improve slightly? And if that is the case, then, clap your hands, here we go again.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really, really excited about what's going to happen between now and the end of the season.
They've got Danilo to come back, they've got Sangare to come back, and
Yeah.
regarding transfers, you have to be careful. You don't want to upset the apple cart with bringing the wrong one in January window.
No.
It's a dangerous window.
You feel like maybe a striker just in case, just as backup.
That's the only thing I can think
Yeah.
about is a striker, because I warn you, he's not been quite at it, and he's liable, you know, to be injured.
Yeah.
And if Chris, God forbid it, we don't want Chris Wood getting injured, because that lad's been unbelievable the last couple of seasons. Unbelievable. His hold-up play, his work rate. I watched him the other night, and he chased one back. The lad got a shot away. He sprinted 50 yards to get back, and he actually run past Gibbs White and the two wide players. Well, absolute phenomenal what that lad's doing.
I mean, it's been six out of 6, and we thought it was a pretty tough run. Looking at the next run of fixtures, Luton in the FA Cup, surely he's going to rest a load of players for the FA Cup. And then we've got Liverpool game, then Southampton. Bournemouth are a bit of a bogey side, but they seem to be sweeping aside bogey sides this year. And then Brighton, decent run of games.
Yeah, it is. It's you know, like you look at listen, there's no easy games in Bomber and Bert will tell you in the Premier League, but you look at that and you think to the previous one we looked at before Christmas, where they passed with flying colours. You know, you fancy them to beat Southampton. Bournemouth, I like Bournemouth, good side. A bit like Forest, play with lots of energy. Yeah. You know, they've got the wide players, they get the ball forward.
And Forest Liverpool, wow, that is going back to the 70s, isn't it? I love those games in the 70s, early 80s.
I love the games against Liverpool because they were the best team. Other than us, I mean, they were obviously they were our toughest opponent.
But you did them so many times.
I think of all the teams that we defeated in both European Cup runs, or 3 European Cup runs, if you include the failed season. I think Liverpool were the best team we ever beat as a collective. I think they were.
There had some players in, Bomber.
Oh, terrific team.
Wow, you look at their team.
And they're very similar to Forest at the minute.
Yeah.
They have bags of energy and bags of pace about the place. And you just knew that when you went to Anfield, that you were up against it and you had to be at your very, very best. And if you switched off for literally 10 seconds, they'd score. And luckily, we went there a couple of times with a lead. And we were very disciplined. You had to be absolutely at the top of your game to come away with a clean sheet at Anfield. And fortunately, we could do that.
But you did them so many times. What was the secret?
Yeah,
to
they
that?
couldn't score against us. I'm going to blow my own trumpet now.
Well then, 450 games you're allowed to.
I heard Martin O'Neill and Graham Souness doing a podcast, and they were talking. The podcast was about Rangers and Celtic and the build up to that game, and of course they touched on Liverpool playing Forest, and they asked Souness why couldn't Liverpool beat Forest, and he said, well, they had those two centre-halves, Burns and Lloyd, and him in midfield, that Bowyer, and they weren't going to take any of our nonsense. We couldn't score. So I'm patting myself on the back. But I used to absolutely love going to Anfield.
Brilliant. Okay, time for a break. In a moment, we'll be looking at all the things Mansfield Town. They win 4 from 5. We'll hear from Brian's son Nigel and Bert about his son Jordan Bowery. Welcome back to a team talk with myself, Mark Shardlow, joined by Charlie McParland, Bert Bowery and Ian Bowyer. We're going to look at League One now. Mansfield Town faced Stockport away at the weekend, where they came out victorious, winning 2-1. The Stags opened the goal scoring with a great Lee Gregory finish in the 12th minute. Fell to him in the box. The home side responded with a goal just 8 minutes later, but Will Evans grabbed a winner just before half-time to take the points. And here's what Nigel Clough thought about it.
Character and everything to dig in deep that we had to again today, like against Bolton, and to come against one of the best sides in the league, you know. unbelievable return on points, honestly. And I know you could see the lads absolutely out on their feet. Jordan Bowery, Fraser and Bailey Cargill played a lot of football over Christmas. Jordan going from centre half up front, and then we've got Alfie comes on, Flinty comes on, to a man. Everybody who's gone on the pitch today and over the Christmas period has done the jobs. Very, very composed finish from an experienced striker. We were saying most strikers would have, especially on the wrong foot, would have just swung at it and gone for power. And he's just calmly side-footed in the bottom corner. A wonderful finish. We didn't make a long throw, we just threw it into somebody's head, got half a flick, and it rebounds the right way.
Well, it's full circle, isn't it? We've got Brian's son praising your son there.
Well, yeah.
Hard worker. What did you say? 500. He's made 500 appearances in the league.
Well, he's got over 500, about 543 roughly. I think I looked at in the EFL, and you didn't even know that.
I didn't know.
Sorry,
I didn't know myself.
I answered it because
I didn't know myself. I really didn't.
Yeah. Charlie, you're the only person that knew he played 543 games. Nobody else knew that.
Yeah, I'm just like.
Which
But
surprised
you must
me.
be so proud as a dad who was involved in football to see your lad making it.
Very proud of him. He's a great lad. Great lad. So he deserves everything he gets. He's done really well for himself. Yeah.
Smashing lad, I'll vouch for that. Really nice kid.
Yeah.
Nice lad.
And
Not
versatility
kid,
as well.
Well, I've never seen it coming, but yeah, he's always played up front, obviously, from a young lad, and I've never seen him playing at the back at all. But Nigel's seen something in him, and it's worked out. Obviously, at first I seen him play, and I could tell he was a centre forward playing at the back, but now he's getting more accomplished, and he looks like a defender. Okay, he's not an out-and-out defender, but he reads the game well, and he's got pace, so it helps him.
He can pass it well.
Yeah, he can pass the ball well. Yeah.
Nigel likes versatility. How many positions did you play when you were at Forest?
I could play badly in any position.
Yeah, pretty much everywhere apart from goalkeeper.
I played in goal.
Did you play in goal?
Yeah, played in goal twice.
Yeah.
I played right back, left back, obviously. I didn't play centre halves.
Yeah.
Played literally right across the midfield. I played as a striker.
Yeah, I do hear some fans sort of saying, "Oh, they shouldn't be playing him there. He's a striker or he's a defender." What's your view of where you play on a pitch?
Where I play on the pitch?
Yeah.
Well, I was a lot more comfortable playing in midfield.
Yeah.
I didn't have enough pace to be that dangerous about going in behind people as a striker.
But you do a job, whatever the manager wants you to do the job.
I mean, John Robertson used to like when I was a striker, because I'd go and show for the ball and he could find me into my feet. I could do that all day long. But that way, the likes of the Tony Woodcocks and Birtles to a lesser degree, they could run in behind and run away from people. That wasn't me.
So
the midfield suited me
know your
better.
limits and stuff.
When I played up front, I was like a mini Erland Haaland.
Very many.
I could finish.
Back to Mansfield. I mean, 4 out of 5 over Christmas. Christmas is always seen as a key period, and it's really done them a world of good.
Absolutely brilliant, because before that period they went on a 5-game losing run, and you were panicking a wee bit.
I was panicking.
I wasn't. Because in those games they were playing really well, and it's really good playing well and not winning. But you could see there, nobody was battering them. No, they were never out any game. Very unfortunate, and Gregory wasn't playing as well.
Yeah.
So that's another wee point. So to come back and show the resilience and character which Nigel spoke about from that 5 defeats, to win 4 out of 5 over the Christmas period against the opposition. It shows the character of the lads, the individually and collectively, and absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the table then, see what it's done for the Stags. There they are, 9th, but they've got a couple of games in hand, so they could quite easily sort of sneak themselves into the playoff positions. And that's a remarkable first season back in League One.
Remarkable. Listen, if they finish in that position this season, they've done remarkably well. And listen, and Nigel will be thinking quietly what they can do and what they can't do. But it's a big jump. Let's not run before you can walk. And and he's a wily old fox, Nigel. Let's take every game as it comes, and he won't get carried away. And just let's see what happens at the end. Enjoy the run, and just see what happens at the end. And again, they've got lots of experience players. You know, when they make the substitutions, and when they change the team, he normally gets it right. It's a bit like Nuno. Nuno's doing all the right things, substitutions. Nigel's the same. When he leaves 4 out or 5 out and puts 5 in, or puts 4 on, normally he gets it right.
Yeah. Let's have a glance at the forthcoming fixtures then. Coming up in the league, away at Exeter is not a great midweek trip. Wickham going to be a tough one, then Cambridge Crawley, so a mixed bag. But this weekend, Wigan in the FA Cup. Not the best FA Cup draw, at least it's at home. But Nigel usually takes the FA Cup quite seriously.
A bit, yeah.
Mix it a bit perhaps this weekend.
Again, when you say mix it, when he's putting players in and taking players out, normally he's not weakening his team.
Yeah.
You know, because he's got a lot of experience in there. You know, the average age is quite high, so he's not really weakening his team.
But you scored a goal in the FA Cup third round for Forest.
Yeah, I mean, it's only that you told me.
Peterborough.
Well done, Bob.
Remembered it.
No, as I said, because you told me earlier on. I mean, Peterborough, so there you go. That's my claim to fame.
Yeah. And Bomber, you were involved in one of my favourite ever FA Cup matches. You scored 2 goals.
Man City.
Man City, who were like riding high, and Forest were in League 2, that mediocre side, just before Brian Clough came out, and you walloped them.
Well, we did. I scored 2 goals, but it's known as the Duncan McKenzie game.
That's what I was going to ask you about that. Do you feel bitter about because McKenzie was amazing?
Not at all. I got 2 tappings, if the truth be known.
I'd like 25 of them, Bomber.
Yeah, of course you would. But Duncan turned Man City inside out that day. Yeah. He was on fire. I was playing against Colin Barrett and just got 2 tappings. He knows that. I remind him every time I see him.
And of course, Duncan McKenzie then signed for Clough, who was at Leeds for 44 days. So it was a sort of strange old time.
What a character, Duncan.
Yeah. Great.
Brilliant lad.
So, do you get to see Mansfield Town much then? Do you go and see Jordan?
I do occasionally. My wife goes more than I do, but she goes to the home games and all the time with his wife. And the kids. So I do now and again. But it's a bit cold for me, so I rather watch on TV.
Fair weather supporting.
Don't be over-enthusiastic about it, Bert.
No, I've done my bit. I mean, as I said before, I've took him here, there, around the country when he was, all around the country, here and there, try and get into professional football. So I always say, I've done my turn. Now it's the wife's turn. She can go and watch her in the comfort of the stand.
I mean, you've all got kids who are involved in football. When did you think, Jordan's going to make it?
To be totally honest, he didn't play football for a team till he was 10. So I'd never seen anything of any, because he didn't know what football was really, basically. And then he started to play for, work with a chap who run Arnold Boys team. So I said to him, can my lad come along for, train with you? He says, yeah, just bring him along. And then he went along, and he could see he'd got some potential, his pace. So he says, we'll sign him on, so... And he gradually got better and better. And we went to America for a holiday, and he come back and he said, I really want to play football. I really want to. Came back, scored 4 goals. A totally different player. I'm not just saying that. He was a totally different player. He looked like he could play. He wanted to play. He was enthusiastic. He's always had pace. And he scored 4 goals. And then from there, within less than a year, Derby County signed him.
And 500 games later, or 543 games later, then he's still there.
Well, that's what. If my counting's right, I wasn't very good at maths in school, right? So, but that's what. But Bert, you went to Lincoln and scored a few goals at Lincoln and won the league down there, didn't you?
Exactly. Yeah. Another time I went on loan, me and Tony Woodcock.
Yeah.
So I couldn't drive, so me and Tony could drive, so me and Tony went down.
So he was your chauffeur?
Yes.
And was that when Graham Taylor was manager?
Exactly. Well, Graham Taylor was the manager then, and we went along. They had a centre forward who was injured, so they just wanted somebody to fill the gap, and went there, and then scored a few goals, me and Tony both of us, and end up winning the league. Yeah.
Nice one, nice one.
And what was Graham Taylor like as
Fantastic,
a manager?
really nice chap. Yeah, really, really nice chap. Totally different to Cloughy in his how he treats people, but they both got the same result, you know. Yeah. So you can do it both ways.
But when they work together, it's that dynamics.
Yes.
Innit? Yeah, you know, it's like the two of you can't be the same. You have
and
to,
what was Graham Taylor's strength then as a manager?
It was really nice chap. He treated you like a human being, you know, and he encouraged you, and he got all the lads loved him. They really did. I mean, you couldn't say that about Cloughy initially, but later on, you got to know him and you got to like him. But initially, you're thinking, what's going off here, you know? But as I say, it's not just one way, is it? Really? No. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah,
completely different styles. How remarkable to have experienced both managers who are like icons of the game. There.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and he was fantastic. Yeah, really got the best out of players, and so did Cloughy. You know.
Yeah, fantastic, brilliant. Great, okay.
I think one of them was a
Hang on a
coach.
second, I'll come back to you in a moment. You've done it again. You were doing that. He's always going on before the break. That's all for now. We'll be putting Notts County under the microscope after their good run in League Two, and we'll see you and hear from Bomber in a moment. Welcome back to Team Talk with myself, Mark Shardlow, joined by Charlie McParland, Bert Bowery and the ever-talking Ian Bowyer, who is just about to tell us another story. I think it's quite relevant that we go to Notts County have had their fair share of interesting coaches, different styles of managers over the year, and you were just going to make a point, I think, about the different styles of Graham Taylor and Brian Clough.
Yeah, I think Graham Taylor was very organised, and his team was always very, very well coached. We weren't coached in any way, shape or form. Clough trusted the players to know that if there was a problem, they were intelligent enough to solve it. And he would say, I buy players to do the job.
Smart footballers, Bono.
Clever footballers. Not clever particularly, but football clever. So it's two different ways of getting the same results, and the results were fantastic for both of them.
Yeah, and so when he talked, some of those favourite quotes about God had meant football to be played in the sky, to put grass up there. Yes. Did he use those? Or they they were just like, when you get through to journalists.
They're for the journalists, aren't they? Most of them.
Yeah, fantastic. Right, let's have a look at.
That's for you lot.
And you now, Charlie, and you now. Right, we're going to talk about the oldest professional club in the country, and that is, of course, Notts County. Spirits were high amongst the Magpies fans after they beat Swindon 2-0 at Meadow Lane at the weekend. David McGoldrick scored a brace in the first half that killed the game for the most part. In fact, he could have even got his first ever Notts County hat-trick. But a good win for County, and here's what Stuart Maynard said about McGoldrick.
He had to come off in the end because he's given absolutely everything, and his all-round play today, the press is incredible. He's not human for the age that he's at, and that's why he's had the career he's at. He's incredible, and he's been incredible from day one since I've walked through this club, and he's a huge credit to himself and his family. Yeah, really pleased with the way that we've performed. Look, I keep saying it, we've performed to a very high level all season. Sometimes the results haven't gone our way, and that has been a big frustration. Even against Walsall, our first half performance against Walsall was an incredible performance, and we didn't quite get the result that we wanted out of it. But the lads have bounced back and responded today, and I always try and say when we lose a game, we need to make sure the next game's so important that we bounce back.
Well, I mean, you're a big fan of Dave McGoldrick. You worked with him at Forest, getting the praise there. I thought it was outstanding at the weekend.
Dave McGoldrick's been outstanding all season. Every time he's in the team, it's like he's got a cigar out. He's just so clever for that league. Swindon must hate the sight of him, because down at Swindon earlier on the season, Notts County were having a right struggle. They were losing the game 1-0, and Davids went and has wrapped two cracking goals in from outside the box to win the football match 2-1. But on Saturday, I thought Swindon were a right poor lot. They were one of the poorest mobs I've seen. But again, David put them to the sword, And again, I keep saying it, Notts County have got the best players in that league. And I'm quite, how earlier on this season the manager didn't always play David, and I just can't get my head round that. If you've got a player like David, I would have him on the pitch for the start of the game, get the game won, 2-0, 3-0 bomber. Then, if you want to save his legs a bit, but David's never been a flying machine who's lost his pace. He's always been an intelligent footballer who likes to drop in pockets, play on the half turn, times his runs into the box, gets his decisions right. So that's why he is able to play for, into 36, 37. And he can push them on along with Crowley, Jody Jones, Matty Palmer. They've got very good footballers for that league. The big boy Jata, again, he's a bit awkward at times, but he gets goals. He gets between the posts and sticks it in the back of the net. But David is, I still love David, watching David play football.
Yeah. What age did you play until, Bonk?
30. I played one game in 1990, so I was just about 2 months short of my 39th birthday.
Yeah.
Was that in Newport?
No,
Were you player manager at Newport? No.
Hereford.
Oh, sorry, Hereford. Yeah. I knew it was down that way. Right.
And did you feel different when you're 37, 38?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Uncle someone to bed. I don't know about that question, I'm not sure.
I used to push with my legs and they didn't move.
Right, let's have a look at the table and see where the 4 and 5 have left Notts County. 6th in the table, got to be going for automatic this year, Charlie, haven't they?
Listen, like I say, out of all them teams and even the top teams, I think Notts County have got the best players. And I think if they don't get promoted this season, with those top players they've got, who I think Crowley, Jody Jones, David, Jata, and Matty Palmer, they can all play in a higher league, and it's not as tough as what it was last year. I keep repeating myself every week, but they had the Stockports, you had the Wrexhams, you had Mansfield, who were very good, and the league's a bit weaker.
So coming fixtures, and the first one on the list is Grimsby Town. See, that was 5-5 last year. I went along to that one, which was a remarkable
Jody Jones
game.
had 4 assists, didn't he? Or was it 5? 5 assists. Yeah.
Grimsby 5, Notts County 5. I love a trip to Grimsby. I think it's an iconic football ground. Go to Cleethorpes, Steels for fish and chips, walk along the beach, cross the railway line, back-to-back houses, and there's the ground in there. Have you got favourite grounds? Any grounds appeal to you as a player or as a fan when you go along?
Anfield.
Yeah.
And Old Trafford.
Yeah.
They're the best 2 games
Iconics,
to go and play at.
Yeah. How about lower down the leagues and stuff like that? You've been to a few of them.
Been to plenty of them. Some people said that was my level.
No, I don't think so.
I like going to Crewe of all places.
Yeah.
It's only a small, but
little Cresty Road there.
It's a proper little. They have this belief that Crewe is. They're the only people that play proper football.
Yeah.
They did play.
Well,
for a time.
They do to this day. They still try and play a possession-based game.
Even when we were at Forest Bomber, when we used to play the Crew,
Yeah.
remember? Dario was there. And he, again, we talk about coaching, and Dario was a good coach. He used to play that box, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was quite difficult to play against. So all through the academy, they played. That's how they played it.
How about you, Bert? What grounds do you like going to?
Well, obviously Anfield and obviously Man United and Leeds of all places as well.
Okay, right.
I really enjoyed going to Leeds. Yeah.
Charlie?
Funny, like the old Den.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Funny and sort of sad.
My life.
Especially when they were trying to pull me in when I was taking a corner, you know what I mean? And there were coins bouncing off your head, the whole lot. But in a sort of sick sort of way, I thought it was great playing down there.
We used to have to cover up the signs on our BBC cars when we went to the Den. It was
and also, I was fortunate enough to play. We were in the top league for 3 years with Notts County, and I was lucky. And so the 6 games, I played in 5 of them, and I played in the 3 at Anfield, which was 5-0 defeat, 5-0 defeat, 1-0 defeat, but it was what an arena. Even though we got absolutely battered.
When we used to go to Southampton in the second division, Forest, the commercial department, they used to chartered a train, and we used to fill it full of supporters.
With the players as
With
well?
the players,
Right. Yeah.
and we would get the train to Southampton, and we would walk players from the station to the ground,
Yeah.
in amongst the supporters.
Wow.
And on the way back on the train, there always used to be a signed ball going around, and we used to have a raffle. I don't know where the proceeds ever went.
Right, we'll leave that there. It's time now for your weekend predictions. Nottingham Forest are playing against Luton in the FA Cup, the 1959 final replayed. What are we thinking for this game?
Well, I have to go for Nottingham Forest, you know, without a doubt.
I can't see nothing but Forest win, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the team.
I mean, he's going to change the team, isn't he? But
Yeah.
But even
I think
changing
regardless
it,
of the team, yeah.
I don't think you
Luton
want
have
to change it too
Here's a little
much.
start. Luton have not won away from home in 10 games. Let's
And
not make it the
they've got
first one.
nothing to lose, haven't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
That's the
But
thing.
isn't it crazy? Like a year ago, Forest and Luton were neck and neck near the bottom of the league, and now look at the gap between the two. Phenomenal.
Football is the things that happen in football. You just cannot understand it. When teams are flying like Man City, and all of a sudden something knocks them.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
Right, the big one then next Tuesday: Forest against Liverpool at the City Ground.
I'm going to go for a score draw.
With the thinking,
Well, it's Liverpool Football Club. We're pretty handy.
Yeah.
Forest are pretty handy at the minute, and I'm edging on a draw or Forest to nick it.
yeah. You've got a soft spot for Liverpool.
I like
I've
the-
not got a soft spot for
No,
them.
no,
No,
but
yeah,
Bert
no,
does.
yeah. But I was thinking about 2-2 draw or something like that, to be fair. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Right, you've been involved in many battles.
It'll be 2-0 Forest.
Really, what makes you think that?
I think they've just got more momentum than Liverpool have at the moment. Where did Liverpool draw this week? They drew at
Man U.
Yeah, Man U.
With Man
Yeah,
U.
yeah, it wasn't a great game.
It wasn't
No,
great.
it was a great game, but not a great
And I think
performance.
over
Yeah.
the course of the season, I mean, Arsenal lost last night. Man City have absolutely blown up.
Wow.
It's perhaps Liverpool might.
Is
Exciting
Liverpool
times.
your second
Right.
team then, Bert?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Right, let's quickly go on to Mansfield against Wigan in the FA Cup.
Mansfield win.
Yeah. You've got to say.
A 1-0 win for Mansfield, for me.
Thank you.
Jordan scored
I'm
on a
saying
header.
Mansfield.
Yeah. Notts County at Grimsby, surely not another 5-5.
No, but I think Notts County will, they're good enough to go up there and win the football match.
I'll take Notts 3-1.
Brilliant. We'll have some goals.
Notts 2-0.
Brilliant. Bomber, thank you for coming with us today. Been great to hear your stories of 50 years ago from Brian Clough. Bert, too, finally breaking your silence on being Brian Clough's first signing. I love it. And Charlie, as ever. Thank you so much for watching too. We'll be back again next Wednesday for another episode of Team Talk. Take care. Goodbye.